Hi, everyone. This is Steve Curtis at Tech Data. It's my privilege to be able to talk to you about a security maturity assessment tool. I've been with Tech Data for over 10 years. I'm currently a solutions consultant in the area of security, and my role has been and currently is helping folks develop security solutions. And this tool is the beginning of that path. That's why I'm so excited about it and here to tell you about how it works. Today, I'm going to show you what the tool looks like, kind of give an overview. Then I'm actually going to jump into the tool, then give you some supports on ways that this tool can help you and ways that it can guide you along the way. So this is, again, a security maturity assessment tool. Let me go ahead and share my screen just to get started. On the screen I'm sharing is a key question. Are your security measures up to the threats you face? Our customers, as well as yourself, may be asking that same question. And what this maturity assessment does in a 45-minute conversation, it reviews key aspects of answering that question. And what I love about that question, it's really a question that anyone can use to start this conversation. And it's a question that you can use to gain an appointment with your client just to talk about it. And again, this is a conversation. It's not a pre-sales technical assessment. It's not a check the box. It's a conversation. And that's what I love about it. So it looks at three different aspects of someone's security posture. Again, it answers the questions and it helps folks understand what cybersecurity is all about. The first thing it looks at is the threat profile. Let me just scroll in a little bit. A threat profile is looking at different aspects of your customer's business, kind of data they have, the kind of things they're doing, the kind of stakeholders that they have, and it looks at their profile and it looks at see if what they're doing today, especially if they're in finance or healthcare, makes them a high value target for a threat actor. So in 13 questions, we go through that and they'll discover, whether they're, a high value to a threat actor or not. As I scroll through this, it looks at, and here's an example of a sample question. For example, what do you believe would be the consequences if your business had some or all of its intellectual property leaked online? And notice that it also uses something key to cybersecurity called the National Institutes of Standards and Technology Cybersecurity Framework. So it uses this and it uses that framework to help educate your customers about, are their security measures up to the threats they face? And if you look at these questions, it allows them to make a choice just for one question. And when we look at this on the web, I select the question, they decide which answer would be appropriate for them. That was the first part of looking at the threat profile. Now I'll scroll down and look at the second part of the security maturity assessment, which is a maturity profile. Maturity profile has 35 questions all around whether, again, it answers the question, are your security measures up to the threats you face? So we're looking at the security measures now, and those are listed according to the NIST cybersecurity framework of identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover, and how mature you are in making those things happen. And that's 35 questions. I said the whole thing takes less than 45 minutes. And that's the second part. And then the last part of it, once we answer the questions, then let me scroll in over to that. Maturity grade is displayed on how the questions were answered and whether they are keyed towards protecting your business from a cybersecurity attack or protecting your assets. And a grade is given. It's either A, B, C, or D. And it looks at two aspects. It gives you a graph there on your threat profile. And then it also gives you a graph on your maturity profile. In this case, the individual or the company that took this received a D grade, and they do have a high threat profile, but they're just starting out with maturity profile. But wouldn't that be nice to know that you have a D in your security maturity, And then what that means is there's some things that are unprotected. And what's great about this is that not only do they see their grade, but you as the partner or they themselves can actually receive recommendations and how to make a difference and how to make their D a C or a B or an A. And we've had partners use this on themselves, and 6 months later, their clients receive an A because they have the controls implemented. Before I share with you the recommendations that we give on the call or a second call that you would have with your client, let me jump to the actual live version of this tool. And with this live version, it's actually a joint call that you would set up with us. So we're working as a team together, that you would actually set up the call with your client with us on the phone. Your job would be to create the interest, to get the time, to ask the questions, are your security measures up to the threats you face? And then once we have the time down, then I'm going to be sharing with you now the first thing your client will see when we jump and do the maturity assessment. Let me go ahead and jump to the live screen. We're now looking at the screen, the live screen for this tool as developed by Security Colony. And again, this is a joint exercise where you, the partner, Tech Data, and your client are looking at the screen. And we're doing this on your behalf. You are setting the appointment. We are guiding the conversation. And the first thing we're going to look at is assessing the threat and maturity profile. This is the first screen that your client sees, and we'll jump into it and we'll look at the threat profile that your client has based on their industry, the kind of data they have. And notice we go ahead as we fill it out, it asks what industry you're in. Notice the way it spells defense, that's a British spelling because they are from Australia. So we'll select financial services, the size of the company in terms of revenue. And then here's another question. Is there anything exciting happening in your business that makes you an interesting target for attackers? We won't do the whole thing now, but it takes about 45 minutes or less. And as a result of this entire conversation, which is the threat profile, which is 13 questions, and the maturity profile of 35 questions, your client or yourself, if you do this on your own first, will get a grade on your security maturity. It'll either be A, B, C, or D. And the huge benefit of this, besides a grade, and that's an immediate reward, is that on the call or after the call, we will review a recommendation report. And the huge advantage to this is you get the report right on the call, so it's immediate gratification. Now let me take some time and I'll show you some of the reports that this tool comes with, which make it even more valuable. Here's an example of a report recently done for a client that received a grade of D. And we'll craft this report, we'll put their name on it so they'll receive it. And just shows you that on the call, you get this kind of report. First it shows the threat profile, whether it's high, low, etc. And then the maturity profile, you notice that it says needs improvement, and it shows that particular area that needs improvement. And then it jumps into specific recommendations. For anyone that receives a D, they recommend a minimal viable security control document that goes over 15 different security controls that are necessary for anyone to have a somewhat secure security posture. And then it jumps into each question that's been answered and gives recommendations. Again, this is received right after the call if you desire as the partner, so we can do an immediate look at what the recommendations are, or we can, as you, the partner, decide, I'd like to get those recommendations just to me, and then have a second call with my client. We can do that as well. So I won't go into the detail with this, but what's great about it is that not only do they get a grade, but they get recommendations for improvement on one call. That's the unique aspect of this. I'd love to show you another screen or another part of the report, which talks about what do the questions mean, so that you can, as a partner, can understand why they asking this question, why is it important, and can be a means to train your own folks on how to give this assessment as well on your own, should you decide to. One of the documents that I love that Security Colony produces are documents that explain the kinds of questions that are asked and why they're asked. This one's called What Do the Maturity Questions Mean? There's another one called What Do the Threat Questions Mean? What's great about these documents are these are documents you can look at before the call that we do jointly so that you can see what kind of questions are going to be asked, why they're being asked, and you can also take notes during the call so that you can record what your client is saying during the call. As this conversation is not saved, the actual conversation is not saved on the call. So you take the notes, you look at these questions, and this is a great tool. We'll send those to you before the call. So to wrap up, I'd love to just look at what the document that we started with. The simplicity of this tool is it answers the question, are your security measures up to the threats you face? That's the simplicity of the tool. As a result of this tool, your client will learn what threats are out there, what security measures are all about, what their grade is on their security maturity, and recommendations from you. This puts you in the driver's seat as a trusted security advisor and sets you up for a year or two of recommendations on how to improve their security posture. Thanks for taking the time to review the security maturity assessment. We appreciate your time. We'd love to do this. As mentioned, we can do this as many times as you'd like. You set the appointment, you ask the question, are your security measures up to the threats you face? To schedule an appointment, just contact us at TechData at securityservices@techdata.com. That's securityservices@techdata.com. Thanks again.